your pretty little friends. Up in the hills where the party never ends. Your schemes and your dreams when you're whole and you're broken. I'm telling all about it in my Words Unspoken.
Welcome to Words Unspoken, the Hills podcast, paying tribute to the reality show that aired on MTV from 2006 to 2010.
We are two Southern sisters rewatching The Hills in 2016 and chatting about it weekly for your entertainment.
My name is Susan, and I'm a 30-something photographer who hates most reality shows but loves The Hills. I have been rewatching the show for a few months.
My name is Jem. I'm a professional in my 30s who hasn't seen the show since it originally aired, so I'm really looking forward to reliving the magic again 10 years later.
We watched the first few seasons of the show in real time when we were younger versions of ourselves, and we are so excited to revisit every episode from our new points of view. Today we are talking about episode 5 of season 1, Jason's birthday. This episode, the previously on, reveals that Jason and Jordan have become friends, even though Heidi is not too sure about Jason. The first scene has Heidi and Lauren in the golf store looking for golf clubs for Jason's birthday. Jem, golf clubs are a pretty expensive gift, aren't they?
They're an expensive gift. I was actually watching that episode with my husband, or he was pretending to not watch it with me.
Oh,
and I was sitting there like, I cannot believe she's buying him a set of golf clubs for his birthday. This early on, his eyes were kind of popping out of his head a little bit with amazement.
It's a pretty good gift.
It's a great gift. And I love how she's fronting like she's not going to get him the best golf clubs and still gets him some pretty great ones.
And Heidi says, Callaway is everywhere, so it must be a good brand. I don't think it works that way. Callaway is a good brand, but not because it's everywhere.
The power of advertising. And speaking of advertising, there was an amazing shot of Hollywood Boulevard, and there was a huge iPod billboard. Remember where it was like a neon silhouette of a person dancing with an iPod? It was so nostalgic. It just made me stop for a second and think, wow. I had to kind of run it back because my thoughts started to travel a little bit. Kind of like when I saw Tower Records in the previous episode. That was nostalgic too. Yeah. R.I.P. record stores of the world.
Yes. I loved when Lauren said, these are pretty, about the golf clubs.
If your golf clubs look pretty, you will be a good golfer.
Absolutely.
I am proof.
So then we move to the Teen Vogue offices, and Whitney and Lauren are chatting, and this scene starts out hilarious. Would you like to tell the listeners the hilariosity?
Whitney's first line is, jeans can be really addicting. And Lauren nods sympathetically while Whitney explains her gene addiction and why they're so addicting, which has to do with there's just so many different colors and styles.
So funny. So then all of a sudden Lisa walks in and everyone like straightens up, as one does when Lisa Love walks into the room.
When royalty enters.
Absolutely. She introduces Gloria, the fashion director, to them. And guess what, Jem?
What, Susan?
There just so happens to be a photo shoot on Wednesday, which also just so happens to be the day that Jason's birthday occurs.
It's almost as if there was a fly on the wall when they were discussing Jason's birthday right before Lisa walked in.
I think that this will let us know that, yes, indeed, their closet isn't bugged. Jem, as you and any of our Instagram followers know, I have been reading Lauren Conrad's novels about girls who are on a reality show. Now, I'm sure a lot of it is just fiction from her head, but I always while I was reading them, I was like, I wonder how much of this is real. One of the things that happened in her novels, and this probably relates more to Elodie from Bolt House than Lauren and Whitney, is that in the novels, the producers hire this girl only to discuss things with the main character. And it turns out later they hire someone to just be a fake boyfriend, and she doesn't know it's a fake boyfriend. And I'm always like, I wonder how much of that is real. And the fake boyfriend stuff, I feel like we can probably talk about maybe next season.
Maybe.
We'll see. Maybe, maybe not.
A little certain someone I'm really excited about.
Me too. No spoilies.
No JB spoilers.
So you can just see by the look on Lauren's face, she knows that this photo shoot is somehow going to get in the way of her celebrating her beloved Jason's birthday with him.
Instead of Lauren giving up on the idea that she's going to see Jason on his actual birthday, she continues to relentlessly cling to this idea that she's somehow going to be able to juggle both, and it's not going to be stressful at all, and it's all going to work out great, which it does, right?
Sure, Jim. Sure. But I will say, I'm glad she didn't say something to Lisa, because I was like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Because I could see Lauren being like, oh, that's my boyfriend's birthday. And I would have sunk into the chair in shame for her, because that would have been...
You know who would have done that?
Heidi.
Heidi,
Yeah.
our favorite.
She'd be like, I'm sorry, I have to quit. It's my boyfriend's birthday. I can't do it. She did say something to Whitney, though, like, oh my gosh, we had plans for the whole day. And I'm like, who makes plans on a Wednesday anyway for the whole day? Please.
Because Susan, that is his actual birthday. If she celebrates it on any other day, he might not be born anymore.
So then we go back to the Hillside Villas, and Audrina and Heidi are in the pool talking about boys.
I love Audrina's face when she gets excited because she still looks a little bit distant and confused, but her face just lights up, and I just like the look she gets in her face when she's talking about something exciting.
I'm just excited to see Audrina again. I really missed her in the last episode.
Oh, I missed you too, Audrina.
I'm glad she's back. So she's talking about Danny, her new crush, who's
a male model.
He's a male model. And then Heidi is like, but what about Brian? And Jim, we're like, we don't care about Brian.
He doesn't deserve coffee.
He doesn't deserve coffee. And lemons and cream, we don't like Brian. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Put that in your lemony pipe.
So she says about Brian, we just hung out and never took it to the next level. So maybe Brian didn't get coffee after all.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he just had like a green tea or something.
Maybe Audrina hopped in her time machine and came to 2016 and heard us talking on the podcast about how he didn't deserve coffee. And she's like, no coffee for you, Brian, because Jem and Susan said no coffee.
I can easily see that happening, and that's probably a really good guess. I like when Heidi becomes a very matronly, motherly character in the scene when she's advising Audrina on her love life. Some great quotes that I pulled from this scene. Audrina was talking about having an emergency person to answer the phone, if the date's going bad.
Oh, yeah?
And Heidi says, oh, I always did that before, and looked so wistful, as if she were saying, before I was married for 20 years, I always did that. And then she also says, I'm living my single life vicariously through you. She does everything but reach out and pat Audrina on the head.
Sorry, Jim, I didn't hear a word you said after you said something about being an old married woman for 20 years. Because imagine being married to Jordan for 20 years.
That is terrifying, and there's probably someone out there who has been married to Jordan for a number of years. If you are listening, please tweet us at The Hills Podcast and tell us what it is like. We kind of want to know, but we're kind of afraid to know also.
I'm sure Jordan is wonderful in his 30s.
and a huge listener to this podcast.
Sorry, Jordan. JK. So then we move to what I can only assume is Jason's apartment, because it's definitely not Lauren's. Am I correct?
It is a big freaking mess.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe he lives with Brian and Jordan, because they have a super messy apartment too.
It is awful. It looks like you would have to kind of step over things just to, get to the refrigerator door kind of living situation. And another important and major thing that happens in this episode is the title on the screen of Jason is Lauren's boyfriend.
It's always funny to see how those titles change over the season. When we get to a certain person later on, they are hilarious. If you pay attention to what the screen says under a certain person, it is so funny.
Well, now you've got me in suspense.
Oh, I'm sure you have no idea who I'm talking about.
I think this is also when she greets him like, hey, babe, and there's a lot of I love you, not from him. He never says it. She's always saying she loves him.
So Lauren has to break the news about having to work on Wednesday on his birthday, and he says, whatever.
But in a very crushed and heartbroken way.
Or one could say passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
No, you can tell he was genuinely sad, but he did try to guilt trip her a little. They both looked very sad, though. So then we go back to the Hillside Villas, to Audrina's apartment, which, correct me if I'm wrong, this might be the first time we've seen Audrina's apartment.
I always just, in my mind, imagine all of them living together in the same unit. I forget that Audrina's in a completely different apartment. And I want to know who her roommate was. I wonder if she had a one bedroom or if she had an off-camera roommate that we never saw.
She lived alone.
Okay.
Audrina's on the phone to Heidi, chatting about her upcoming date, and there's a knock on the door, and it's Danny. And he says, "Hello, baby, how are you?" Ew.
Ugh.
No. No.
Instant disgust.
I immediately do not like him, because that was just, no. Awkward weather talk.
Ugh.
And then they're walking outside, and he mentions, like, "Oh, it's such a nice day today. Did you go outside?" "Oh, I did a little bit on my lunch break." And he says, "Oh, I apologize. I forgot you work."
And then laughs maniacally.
Or condescendingly. Jim.
Yes, Susan.
Let's talk about the difference between LA and the South.
Okay.
In the South, in LA, there's lots of actors and musicians, and they're always, looking for their big break, whatever. So, of course, they don't work, or they work off and on, or they work odd jobs, or they work at night. Because obviously, Brian doesn't get up till 6. This guy doesn't even seem to have a job at all. I think a lot of people on this show are, allergic to work. Nodding does not translate over the podcast, Jem. Just for our audience members, the way we record the podcast is Jem is on Skype, so I can actually see what she's doing, and she just nodded instead of verbally acknowledging me.
I have plans to verbally acknowledge you eventually. But yeah, I think it's a hallmark of success in these boys' minds that they don't have to get up till 6 p.m. as opposed to realizing that for what it really is, you're not a highly paid movie producer. You're a token boy on a reality show, and no one is ever going to remember you from this show.
My notes on this says, this conversation probs occurs on the daily in LA.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
So they're in the car and they're riding to their date, and Danny talks about how he's into modeling and acting. Audrina is already looking a little stressed out, like she's not enjoying the conversation very much. And they get to the restaurant, and when they sit down, I'm like, oh, Danny would actually be cute if he had a different haircut. He is very good looking, but his haircut, I feel like that's not even a 2006 haircut, how it's kind of floppy.
I think that's him trying to be a male model and just going with a classic male model haircut that no one else in the world can actually pull off. And in his mind, he thinks he looks amazing. He's been at the beach all day. He lives at the beach. Audrina was mistaken when she said something about him going to the beach. He was like, oh, I must have lied to you about that because I live at the beach.
And the look on her face was like,
what are you saying?
I'm ready to go home. She was already ready to bail on the date at that point, I feel like. And then he tells a story about some girl who got a boob surgery, and she looks even less interested in that. And Danny then says, I am going to check my machine.
Which was so great.
And at first I was like chuckling, like, oh, he's trying to be so old-fashioned. And then I realized, no, he's actually literally checking his answering machine.
Using his flip phone to check his answering machine at home. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment.
I mean, it was precious to me. It was just beautiful.
The kids will never know.
They won't. He's listening to his messages on his machine, which, by the way, is really rude.
And Susan, refresh our memory. Who was it that he had so many messages from after Audrina makes that passive-aggressive comment?
Well, Jim, I don't know. Could it perhaps be his agent?
Yes, which he had to hear from. I mean, obviously they have to be connected at all times because he's probably getting so many modeling jobs that he can't even keep up and must be checking in even during dinner.
Dear Danny, you know you're on MTV and you're trying to brag, but they already said you're a model. Take a chill pill. It's okay. You don't have to talk about your agent. He was posturing the whole time.
He really was, and it just got worse and worse.
It really did. Audrina's phone rings, and she answers it, which also not the thing to do on a date.
Oh, but he says it's okay.
Oh, he said it's okay. It's the right thing to do, but she was already answering it.
AKA, I've already been on my phone this whole date, so it's totally okay if you do the same thing.
Audrina wasn't waiting for permission from Danny. She had already answered it. And of course, it's Heidi being basically like, do you need to be saved? And Heidi says, say the food is good if he's cute. And she said the food is greasy or it's greasy or something. And that was hilarious because basically it's like, yeah, this guy's a dud.
And it was so funny when Heidi just laughed aloud because it was really hilarious.
And I bet Danny heard that through the phone.
Well, I hope you did.
And I think he knew what it meant. Like, that's not that great of a code.
Yeah. With all of your babying and your modeling and your agents and your phone calls, you deserve to be known that you were described as a greasy dinner.
Agreed. Can we just move on from this horrible date?
Yeah, let's go far, far away from this and never speak of it again.
Let's go to the restaurant where Heidi, Jordan, Jason, and Lauren are having a double date.
Which soon turns into what I like to call a scene from history, the misery of the Brian.
So Brian shows up.
After they've discussed that he can't know that Audrina's been on a date.
Right. Heidi's like, Brian doesn't know, and Jason is getting all into the drama, he doesn't know this is going to be awkward, and I kind of love that, and Jason's so interested in it.
He wants to see his fellow man suffer.
Absolutely. He's like, it's about time someone else suffers besides me in this show. I need someone else to have drama. I don't want to have any drama.
Well, you have no mercy.
I mean, there will probably be no drama between Lauren and Jason ever again.
No, I doubt it. They're set for life.
Anyway, then Audrina shows up, and it doesn't take long for Heidi to immediately bring up the date that they were supposed to be keeping for Brian in order to not make it awkward. Good going, Heidi.
Yeah, Heidi, way to keep things on down low. Proud of you.
She doesn't seem that interested in talking about it at first, and then she's like, yeah, he's kind of nice, but... And then she said he's never been in a relationship before, and someone says in the background, he's gay.
Someone named Brian.
See, I thought it was Jordan.
No, it's totally Brian.
I rewound it 2 times, and they're showing Lauren and Jason when they say that, so you can't see who said it. And
my vote goes to Brian.
Okay, because Brian and Jordan sound exactly alike, even though Jordan's from North Carolina, and I don't think Brian is, but...
Well, Susan, remember all the guys in LA are from North Carolina, according to Heidi.
My bad. So anyway, I'm sure it was Brian who said that. You're right.
Yeah, let's go with that, because he's raging with jealousy.
And then Heidi continues on, I want to hear more. And Brian's like, please, enough, stop being all dramatic. I can't hear anymore. I'm so in love with Audrina. Audrina, be my girlfriend. I want to be with you. Oh, wait, no, that doesn't happen. They went on one date and only had tea.
Green tea.
Then they give a toast to Jason's birthday. HBD, we're all so happy. Yay friends, yay relationships. Everything's wonderful.
Everything's going to be great, and everything's going to turn out great in this episode.
Absolutely. So then we transition to the Teen Vogue photo shoot.
I love Lauren's Poochie headband in this scene. She's got a scarf tied around her hair, and it's so cute.
Jim, as the resident photographer of this podcast, all I could see was the gorgeous medium format camera.
I was going to ask you about that, and I thought that you were going to be snobby and tell me it's not that great.
I mean, it's a medium format camera. They're all great.
I don't know what that means.
It's a more expensive camera, and they're beautiful.
It looked large and in charge, so I didn't know if it was something that was outdated.
Medium format cameras are large and in charge. Anyway, I like to call this part of the episode Lauren's montage of grunt work.
Where, strangely enough, even though she's miserable and trying to get away and go somewhere, she doesn't run to the bathroom to have long conversations with people a la one Heidi Montag.
She's lining up shoes. She's steaming. She's running thither and whither?
Hither and thither.
Hither and thither. In order to make this photo shoot awesome, while probably trying to rush them too.
And she looks amazing, and she's wearing heels.
Blaine comes up, and I guess he's her work friend for the day in order to have some sort of conversation that's not a part of the photo shoot, to ask her about the golf clubs.
Susan, is this the same Blaine that loves to carry important news? Or is this a different Blaine?
This is the same Blaine. Poor Blaine, he's just there to, chat with her about her boy problems. That was probably not very pleasant for him.
I thought he was really cute in that scene with his cap and his casual wear.
I actually did too. I was like, oh, he's much cuter in his casual wear than he is in his office wear. I thought the exact same thing. And then we go to the links, the golf club where Jason and Brian and Jordan are.
Because they have nothing else to do that day.
Because it's Jason's birthday. Jim, question. Remember when Lauren said that she and Jason were supposed to hang out the whole day?
Yes, I do remember that.
Before she had to work, was Lauren going to go golfing with him?
She probably was going to tag along. I'm not saying that she would not have enjoyed playing golf, because I don't know that about LC. But it kind of seems like the answer would be no. She would not enjoy it. And yes, she was probably going to tag along.
So Lauren has given the golf clubs to Jordan to put in the back of Jason's car with a bow tied on it because that's his gift. You can tell that Jason knows they're in there.
So it's really awkward.
So it's kind of awkward how they open it up and he's like, oh my God, blah, blah, because probably he saw them in there because they're in his car. Unless that was Jordan's car, but I think that's Jason's car, right?
He definitely fakes his reaction to the golf clubs and then says, did you get this for me, dude?
Yes, Jason, because Jordan definitely bought him expensive golf clubs for his birthday.
And he finds out from Lauren, and he's so happy. One observation I have from the scene, Susan, I don't think Jason should ever laugh again. That doesn't mean I don't want him to be happy again. We just don't need to hear his laughter on international television ever again because it is pretty much what it sounds like.
I didn't even notice. I'll have to watch out for that in future episodes if Jason is in them.
And that's as opposed to our lilting, hilarious laughter on the show, which is enjoyable to everyone.
Jem, I have a confession to make.
Go on.
As you know, I'm the one who edits the podcast, and there was a laugh last week that was so horrendous and made me cringe that I cut it out.
Oh, it was your laugh.
It was my laugh. It wasn't your laugh.
That's shocking.
I feel like a fraud. It was awful. It was like, I can't even do it now, but it was awful. I'm like, cut out. So it made me glad that I was the one who edits the podcast, which means I can control the narrative. So watch out what you say, Jem.
Are you going to edit my comments to make it sound like I'm saying something else?
I mean, why would I do that on a show about the hills?
I know that because that doesn't happen on the show.
Never. So anyway, we go back to the photo shoot. And Lauren has to get these sign releases from the models. And as she's handing them out, she starts getting stressed out, like, oh, I'm going to miss the birthday dinner. I'm going to miss the birthday dinner. Jem, then we go back to the golf course. And in this scene, it's very short. It's like a golfing montage in which the boys are gushing white privilege on a Wednesday. Then we go back to the photo shoot, and Lauren gets the disturbing news that it's possible that there could be overtime, and they might have to work until 6 p.m.
And then the world is turned upside down. It's almost time for Jordan to get out of bed for the day, or Brian, whoever he is. But things are getting crazy.
Jem, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, you get done at 6. It takes you till 7 to clean up and get everything packed up. That's still plenty of time to go home and get ready before you're probably like 9 or 10 o'clock dinner. And then I remembered LA traffic.
Right.
So that was the concern.
It throws that monkey wrench in every plan.
Absolutely. And the fashion editor asked Lauren if she would like to go to the beach for the last shot of the day. And Lauren's like, well, do you need me? And she's like, no, not really. I just thought you'd want to go like and watch for the experience. And she's like, well, it's my boyfriend's birthday. And the fashion editor is so like condescending and like, that is a bad decision. Like her look says that. She doesn't actually say that.
Didn't you want to reach through time and grab her and whisk her off to the beach so that she could see this experience?
No.
Okay.
I actually think this was fine because Lauren does not want to be like a photographer or like run fashion shoots. She wants to be a stylist. And I feel like all the stylist things had been finished earlier in the day.
So what you're saying is Lauren is exhibiting her power over work-life balance.
I think so. I don't want to ever condemn. There are other times when, yes, I'll condemn her for choosing boys over work and career choices, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No spoilers. But this one, I think it was fine. I mean, yeah, she probably should have gone just to open up her visibility at the company. But it was his birthday, and he is her boyfriend. And if it had just been like, oh, it's a party or whatever, yeah. But it was his birthday, so I think that was, perfectly fine.
Leave it to me to be the one who wants her to work really late and miss a dinner.
So then we're back at the Hillside Villas after Lauren has rushed away from the shoot, and she's stressed in traffic. And Jason and Lauren appear, and they're all dressed up and fancy, so everything's fine. And as they're riding in the car to the restaurant, Jason's like, you looked really excited excited to see me? And she's like, yeah, I missed you. Lauren says, what do you want for your birthday? And he says, probably you, which is really sweet.
And then
Or is it?
Or is it? I don't think any scene in the car is sweet because Jason needs subtitles because the average person listening to him can't understand what he's saying. My guess is that he is under the influence of some sort of substance in this scene. We should not need subtitles to hear what he's saying.
Another thing about Jason from Laguna Beach, and I know you don't like me to talk about it, but with every girlfriend he had on Laguna Beach, he would always like use sweet nothings with them and say really sweet things to them and then turn around like 45 minutes or an hour later and do horrible things to them.
So he's kind of like storing up nice things in the bank so that he can be a jerk and get easily forgiven for it.
In the car, they're just chatting away, and Jason says, if you want to go home, you can take my car later. And Lauren's face falls. First of all, the tone he says it in, he's like so super casual that you can tell he's just like trying to hide something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is that moment where when a boy says something and you're 19 years old and you get a pit in your stomach, like, this night's not going to go as well as I thought it would.
Oh my gosh, I thought the exact same thing, like even down to the pit in my stomach. That definitely happened to me when I was 19 years old, where it's like,
oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, no. This
where everything's just about to go off the rails.
Yes. And they just both look miserable. So they get to the Blowfish sushi place, and I immediately stopped the episode, got in my car, and drove to our local sushi place because I started craving some.
Yum.
You can definitely tell they're late, though, because when they walk in, everyone's eating, and they look like they're a couple of drinks in, so they definitely were late. And Brian gives this weird toast, and everyone at the table is rolling their eyes. No, not really. That was just me. I'm like, how does Brian even know Jason? He's probably known him like 2 weeks.
He just needs to not be invited. Brian doesn't deserve coffee or to be invited to sake and sushi.
Go away, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, get out of our lives.
And then we get some great knowledge dropped on us, Jim.
What is this knowledge, Susan?
Audrina used to be a Hooters girl.
Which they make a big deal about, and they forgive her for, as if she has committed a crime.
They make the biggest deal in the world about her being a Hooters girl, as if she told them she had been in an adult film. It was hilarious.
It was kind of earth-shattering information for them, and nobody quite knew what to say. Their only expressions that they could give were sympathetic, as if to say, you poor thing, you really had to dip down into the gutter of Hooters waitressing in order to survive. We are so sorry that you had to go through this trying time. And Audrina's very apologetic about it herself, and so it just creates this whole awkward whirlwind of sympathy and apology.
And then Jason gets up and disappears for a while, and then he comes back and he's mingling with other people. Lauren gets very upset at him.
Jason is rapidly succumbing to whatever he is indulging in that night, and you can see the spiral happening as the evening goes by.
Jim, I have a feeling we might disagree about this end of the episode a little bit.
Go on.
Here's my thoughts on this. It is Jason's birthday party. I don't think he should have to sit next to Lauren the whole night.
I agree.
So my question is she really upset because he left her side, or is she upset about things that MTV is not comfortable showing?
I would go with the latter. I'll take the latter for 1,000 this episode, Alex.
Sometimes I feel like on these MTV reality shows, there's so much that they can't say that it's like confusing sometimes, and that you might know about it because of, you know, things you've read somewhere else, and we'll talk about this later in a few seasons, but it's like it makes it very confusing because I don't blame Jason for getting up and leaving her to go sit at the end of the table and talk to his friends. It's his birthday. He should, when you're in a birthday party, you need to go like talk to everybody. So I didn't really like that. I think, you know, it's probably the editing or whatever, but I was just like, this seems unfair. I mean, she was cool about it at first, but
I think his demeanor has a lot to do with it too, and just the way he's behaving toward her, like kind of going out of his way to make sure that she knows that she's being ignored. And I don't mean just by moving to the other side of the table. I mean by him just completely avoiding her and kind of morphing into the true jerk that we really know he is deep down. And then at one point he makes the comment, "I'm going to get yelled at," just kind of like...
Yeah, oh no, I'm not saying he wasn't being a jerk, but I'm saying as soon as he got up and like left her, she got upset. I'm like, okay, that's not really fair. But, once again, who knows what was happening when, they could have edited out a whole thing of them fighting because they didn't like it or something. So who knows? But I thought that was kind of a little bit annoying. And, but the look on Heidi's face, she is so delighted with this drama and she's enjoying every minute of it.
She loves it, and she's wearing earrings that were made for a dramatic night like this. They are several inches long, sparkly and silver. I kind of like them, actually. But the earrings almost reflected the ridiculousness that's happening at that table. And Heidi is so ready for something to go down because she's wearing those long earrings of doom for the night.
I think Heidi's just glad that she and Jordan are the ones fighting.
Yeah, she and Jordan are like the happy model couple.
I know, right?
There's nothing going wrong between them.
So Jason's like, okay, ready to go, babe. And Lauren's like, I think I'm just going to go home. And so then they go outside and they start fighting in front of the car. Even though I thought Lauren handled it very well, where she's like, it's your birthday. I'm not going to fight with you, but why did you leave me? And they start arguing. And so it does not end well. It ends with Jason getting in a car with a guy with a suit and driving dramatically away. Well, Lauren just looks super sad because
she did. I do give her props for saying that it's your birthday. I'm not going to fight on your birthday, babe, and kind of diffusing the situation.
Oh, definitely. It was very mature. And I'm sure the MTV producers were mad that she wasn't making a bigger deal out of it and creating more drama. And so she drives off with Jordan and Heidi. And one can only wonder, is she sadder that Jason was being a jerk or that she had to drive away with Jordan and Heidi? Also, one can wonder, where's Brian and Adrena? Perhaps having a cup of coffee together?
Perhaps. Did you notice, too, that when Jason was leaving, Lauren said, "Love you," again, and he didn't say it back?
Shocking.
I know. Come on, J-Wall. But I'm sure in the next episode, everything's going to be fine with them.
We'll see, won't we? Does this episode of The Hills pass the Bechdel test?
Susan, it's time to talk about the Bechdel test. Question 1. Are there 2 named female characters who speak to each other in this episode?
Yes.
Question number 2. Do these 2 named female characters speak to one another?
Yes.
The fateful and final question. Do they talk to each other about anything other than a man?
Technically, yes.
But barely.
But barely. Really, the only thing I can think of is when they were talking about the timing of the photo shoots. However, I can't remember the name of that person that she was talking to. Was it the fashion editor, Jessica, or a random model? I don't know. So she may not have been named.
Yeah, this one's a tricky one.
That's the only instance I can think of. So I'm going to say that this episode does not pass the Bechdel test.
Okay. This is survey says
do better next episode, Hills, because I know you can change it now.
Yeah, there's a time machine. So
Jem
and Susan's funniest moments.
Okay, Susan, I couldn't decide between the 2 funniest moments. They either had to be Daniel, the male model, when he's on his date with Audrina. He says he's eating his salad. He said, "This salad's like a party," and stares at the lettuce, and Audrina just looks like she wants to run off into the sunset. Another funny part was just simply Brian playing golf. Brian is a worse golfer than Eve and I, and I'm the worst golfer on the planet, and Eve and I judged him whilst watching him trying to hit the ball.
Jem, I really don't have a funniest moment this week. It was kind of a stressful, fast-moving episode, and there were funny things in it, but there was nothing that really stuck out that I haven't talked about.
Moments of laughter were few and far between in this episode, Susan. It was pretty serious. I'm getting a little worried about Lauren and Jason's newly rekindled relationship. I'm worried about Audrina ever finding love. And what about Heidi's earrings? Will they ever get any shorter? Winners of the week. Who's your winner? I think it's going to be the same as mine.
Lauren is my winner of the week. because she seemed to rock her photo shoot in spite of the fact that she was in a huge hurry. She looked efficient. She got to the party when she thought she wouldn't be able to. And she was so mature at dinner, trying not to start the fight, that she is my winner of the week. Who is your winner of the week?
My winner of the week was quite the opposite. It was Jason. Simply because he got a brand new bag of golf clubs for his birthday from his girlfriend after they had gotten back together, after he cheated on her in front of her, like you said, on national TV. So he was by far the winner of the week. I'm just probably going to go do all kinds of bad things, so I'll get my own golf clubs.
You have your own golf clubs.
That's true, which I use beautifully to play golf a little bit better than Brian.
Listeners, by now you have realized that winners of the week probably means something different than what you would think when you hear that phrase. So just keep that in mind. And direct all angry emails to Jim.
I will gladly answer them with equal anger, because that's the main emotion that I have.
Thanks for listening to Words Unspoken, the Hills podcast. Here's the scoop on all of the many ways you can contact us. We'd love to hear your feedback and ideas for the show.
You can email us at wordsunspokenpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find us on Twitter at The Hills Podcast and Instagram and Facebook at Words Unspoken Podcast.
We are even on Tumblr, which definitely did not exist when The Hills first aired. And you can also visit our website, wordsunspokenpodcast.com.
Please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. We are also available on Stitcher, Google Play, and SoundCloud.
We'll talk to you next Friday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
You and all your pretty little friends up in the hills where the party never ends. Your schemes and your dreams when you're whole and you're broken. I'm telling all about it in my words unspoken.
Not again. We're punching tonight. Never mind. No one wants to hear our old people stories.
No.